Hey everyone, welcome back. I want you to imagine something for a moment. You open your eyes. It's completely dark. You can't move your arms. You try to sit up, but your head hits solid wood. Your heart starts racing. You scream, but nobody hears you. Then you realize something so terrifying that it makes your blood run cold. You're not trapped in a room. You're trapped inside a coffin. And according to some of the most chilling stories from history, this nightmare may have actually happened. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most horrifying fears humans have ever had, the fear of being buried alive. And trust me, the deeper this story goes, the worse it gets. Before modern medicine existed, doctors didn't have heart monitors, brain scans, or sophisticated equipment. Determining whether someone was truly dead wasn't always easy. If a person fell into a deep coma, if their breathing became extremely shallow, if their pulse became too weak to detect, people sometimes believed they had died. In the 18th and 19th centuries, this fear spread across Europe and America. Newspapers published terrifying reports. Families whispered horror stories. Entire communities became obsessed with one question: what if someone is buried before they're actually dead? At first, it sounded like an irrational fear, but then disturbing discoveries began appearing, and those discoveries changed everything. Gravediggers occasionally reported strange findings. When old graves were reopened, some bodies were found in unusual positions. Coffin lids sometimes showed scratch marks. Skeletons appeared twisted or turned. In certain cases, people claimed the bodies looked as if they had struggled to escape. Were these signs that someone had awakened underground? Or were people simply imagining things because they were already terrified? Nobody knew. But one particular story spread rapidly. It involved a young woman who had become seriously ill. Her condition worsened until eventually she appeared lifeless. No movement, no response. Almost no detectable breathing. Doctors examined her and declared her dead. Her grieving family prepared for the funeral, and within a short time, she was buried. Everyone believed the story was over, but it was only beginning. A few days after the funeral, local residents reportedly began hearing strange sounds near the cemetery. At first, they ignored them. After all, cemeteries are creepy places. People hear things, wind, animals, their own imagination. But the stories continued. Some claimed they heard faint knocking. Others reported muffled noises. Eventually, curiosity grew so strong that people decided to investigate. According to the story, workers opened the grave. What they found shocked everyone. The woman's body was no longer lying peacefully. Her position had changed. Her clothing was disturbed, and signs inside the coffin suggested movement. Suddenly, a horrifying possibility emerged. What if she hadn't been dead at all? What if she had awakened after being buried? The idea spread like wildfire, and it terrified people everywhere. But here's where things become even stranger. Historians later discovered that stories like this weren't isolated. Similar reports appeared across multiple countries. Again and again, newspapers described people waking up just before burial. Others supposedly regained consciousness while being prepared for funerals. In some cases, families delayed burials because they were afraid of making a mistake. People became so frightened that a new industry appeared, an industry designed around one horrifying possibility: being buried alive. And the inventions they created were almost unbelievable. Engineers and inventors began designing what became known as safety coffins. These weren't ordinary coffins. They included ropes tied to the person's hands. The ropes connected to bells above ground. If the buried person woke up, they could pull the rope. The bell would ring. Someone would hear it and hopefully rescue them. Some designs included air tubes. Others included flags. A few even had emergency escape mechanisms. Think about that for a second. People were so afraid of being buried alive that they created coffins specifically designed for people who might wake up after burial. That's how widespread the fear became. Entire societies were terrified, not of death itself, but of being mistaken for dead. Now here's the truth. Many buried alive stories have never been fully verified. Some were likely exaggerated by newspapers. Others may have been misunderstandings. And certain reports probably evolved into legends over time. However, historians agree on one important fact. Before modern medicine, mistakes did happen. Doctors lacked today's technology. Comas, catalepsy, and certain medical conditions could make a living person appear dead. While confirmed cases were probably much rarer than people feared, the fear itself was very real. And that's why safety coffins existed. That's why families waited longer before funerals. And that's why the possibility haunted millions of people for generations. Today, most of us never think about this fear. Modern hospitals have advanced equipment capable of detecting even the faintest signs of life. But imagine living 200 years ago. Imagine lying sick in bed. Imagine slipping into a deep, unconscious state. And imagine knowing that if people made a mistake, you might wake up beneath 6 feet of earth, alone, in darkness, with nobody able to hear your cries. It's one of the most terrifying thoughts imaginable, and perhaps that's why this story continues to fascinate people even today, because deep down, it touches one of humanity's oldest fears, not death itself, but being trapped with no way to tell the world you're still alive. What do you think? If you lived in the 1800s, would you have trusted doctors enough to bury you immediately? Or would you have demanded a safety coffin just in case? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more strange, dark, and unbelievable true stories from history.